ICROSS. ICROSS stands for International Community for the Relief of Starvation and Suffering. There's a Canadian ICROSS and there's an international ICROSS. The president and founder is a chap named Bill Wilbon, who is a retired sergeant. He lives there, and he got involved in this because he went over to Africa and saw the suffering of the poorest of the poor, remembering that 15 to 20,000 children die a week in Africa. And a lot of people just don't think about that. In the case of ICROSS, which is a federal chartered charity organization, registered thanks to the efforts of Billy Wilbon and a chap named General Lewis Mackenzie. He's our patron. We've got the charter. I serve as the Alberta director of ICROSS. And part and parcel of that is scrounging, is the best word, for donated medical goods or other things that can help the children and the poorest of the poor in Africa. It's all put together in a warehouse in Victoria, and then there's a lady up on Gabriola named Colson who pays for a sea container, and that sea container is loaded, packed to the gunnels, and then sent over. We have sent fully loaded sea containers on donated space, by the way, on ships. Nobody in ICROSS gets paid anything. We always work with volunteers from the Canadian Association of Veterans United Nations Peacekeeping and from others. And similarly with the shipping, okay, it is donated. Donated with cost from Molly Colson or one of the others. We've sent containers to northern Kenya. We're not doing that anymore because it had to come through Mombasa, which is way in the south, put on a rail car and shipped all the way to the north. And then unfortunately they had to sell the container to pay the local tax, quote unquote. They use the containers when they get to wherever they're going as offices. Example, the last number that we've sent to Malawi, they have a really nice office with two of them really with a cover built between the two because they have nothing. They have nothing. I remember in my time when I went over there as an advisor to Care Canada in Kenya and Somalia. I went through 5 of the refugee camps, Somalia refugees, 250,000, 5 camps of approximately 50,000 each. They're being fed by the World Food Organization. There's atrocities every night, which nobody can do anything about because the Kenyan and Somalian forces just don't have that capability. But it drives the point home when I was involved in ICROSS there, where you see what they call the matchstick children. What the doctors did at Medicine Sans Frontières, they divide the people into 3 groups. Those that they can treat and will release, others that they keep an eye on. Remember, they don't have many drugs or so forth. And the third, particularly those suffering from AIDS, that there is no hope. And they are put in a special area, cared for as best they can, usually in the cement area if they can afford the cement, and they will eventually perish. And that drives the point home that we must do something for those in Africa. So in the case of Alberta, I have asked many friends, and God bless the Calgary Health Region as it used to be known as, because all of their out-of-date equipment, quote unquote, or surplus, is put to one side in the warehouse. And it's either going to be written off, no charge, it's written off, and then they don't know what to do with it. Okay, and the last thing you want to see is needles, crutches, and so forth just going to the dump. So they very kindly donate it to us. We arrange for the transport of those goods. There's usually 4 or 5 pallets worth, loaded onto a vehicle and sent out to Billy Wilbon in Victoria. So that's what we do in regards to ICROSS. The other aspect of ICROSS is when we pack the medical goods with Izzy dolls. What's an Izzy doll? An Izzy doll is a little doll made of wool, and it's named after Master Corporal Mark Isfeld, who was an engineer serving in Kuwait. And when he was there, like many of us, saw the young kids as they were going through villages or patrolling. The kids come up from everywhere. They don't have anything. Therefore, he said to his mother, I'd like to get something for these kids. And she sent him a number of the dolls that she had made. And he started to give these out. She obviously was a prolific knitter. She's passed away now. May she rest in peace. So when Mark came home, shortly thereafter, he was sent to Croatia on his second tour. He was an engineer, and his job was, along with others, was to clear mines, which is a very hazardous job. And unfortunately, in his career, or in his second tour rather, in Croatia, he inadvertently stepped on a mine, and he was killed. Well, and remember, he was still getting these Izzy dolls knit by his mother and others. She was developing a consortium, and they were all being sent over there. So he and his buddies had these Izzy dolls. The engineers decided that, okay, we're going to carry on this tradition, and we're going to call it Izzy dolls. That tradition carries on to this day. In fact, today I'm picking up some Izzy dolls from the Military Museum in Calgary. And on the 15th of May, we will we receive some more from the ladies in Alberta who are knitting Izzy dolls. Once again, ship them all out, usually by Greyhound, 5 or 6 boxes of dolls crammed in there to Billy Wilbon. What Wilbon does is he takes the dolls and uses them as packing material for ICROSS. When you've got sensitive equipment, everything from an x-ray machine to a microscope and so forth, he uses the Izzy dolls as packing material. And the ladies don't mind that. Because we've seen the videos of the containers being unpacked, and Izzy dolls, containers being unpacked, meaning there's boxes coming out. Remember, each item has to be itemized and a list for not only Canadian customs, but the country it's going into. So it's very, very bureaucratic. It takes a long time. But what you'll see is these Izzy dolls coming out. Now, what Wilbon has done, he's taken it a step further, and he has Izzy dolls that are black. People say, well, you're getting racist. No, we're not. Because there's kids over in Africa, they're all black. And we had white Izzy dolls. And his thinking was, why not have some black ones? And they've gone over like a ton of bricks, really. You can see them, one in this pocket, one in that pocket, white and black. Okay. In fact, when I was being invested in the Order of Canada, the Governor General at the time, Marshal Jean, I gave her a couple of Izzy dolls. Okay. She was a little askance for a minute, and then I had to explain why they have black. Okay. And she thought I was giving them to her daughter, which I was, but for different reasons as some people would think. Okay. So that's the explanation of ICROSS. It continues to this day. We have an Ontario director, Mike Como, who is very, very active. He is a member of the Peacekeepers Association. And they ship directly out of Ontario to Africa. Now, periodically, we will get goods here in Calgary where there isn't a load to go out to Victoria, and we donate them to Haiti Arise, another care organization here, or Samaritan Purse, for them to send wherever they're sending goods. So that's the story of ICROSS expanded into Izzy dolls.